of your fire.
The mistake some people make when they're having to add fire every, let's say, hour or two, is they add too late when the fire's already died down, and you've got to add whenever that fire's really hot. That way you'll get a nice consistent burn temperature. One of the things I like about adding cold charcoal onto hot is all that smoke that's being generated right now. It is a wonderful flavor, so I always add cold charcoal to hot. We've just added the charcoal, and we're going to open this back butterfly damper all the way. That's going to allow as much air as possible in there, because we do want to go ahead and let that charcoal catch as soon as possible, since we want to get it up to temperature within the next half hour. And these are ready to go on the cooker now. Our cooker's at 225 degrees over there on that door. Just like we said, we're going to put the larger brisket onto the competition cooker. And I like to start my briskets and pork butts up in what I'll call the top left of the cooker. And we're going to take the larger pork butt and do the same thing. And we're going to put them right up there. And they're going to be just fine like that for probably a good 2 or 3 hours until that rub sets up and starts to form a crust. We'll get some smoke working with adding some wood right now. Unless you've got a real small cooker like a Weber kettle or one of the bullet type cookers, you don't really want chips. The chips burn off too quick. One of the biggest mistakes that any amateur or backyard barbecuer makes is they make the mistake of cooking with too much wood. I like these real small sticks of wood. They're perfect for adding flavor. They don't generate too much heat. We've got oak wood, apple wood, cherry, and hickory in there right now. And you can see they're already smoking.
After the brisket and pork butt have been on about 3 hours, Staney adds a key ingredient.
We're going to start our basting procedure, which is really very simple. We fill up a spray bottle with apple juice, apple cider, whatever your favorite brand is. I wouldn't use anything that had any added sweetener to it. Apple juice is already plenty sweet enough. And we spray it. We're going to be spraying it probably every 2 hours up until we wrap the product. The reason that I like using apple juice, it's got a nice mild flavor. It's not going to add anything too aggressive to the flavor, but it does also have a nice sweetness. So the more we spray and the more the heat hits it, we're going to get some caramelization of the apple juice, and that's going to give that barbecue 3, 4, 5, 6 hours down the road. It's going to give us that nice dark caramelized look. As we can see, the rub is settled up. It's forming a little bit of a crust there. It's not going to run off. It's still a nice little bright red color. And now's when we're going to spray our apple juice on those. And at this point, we're going to be spraying every hour. And you just almost can't put too much on there.
There's a little time now for some non-traditional barbecue.
What we're going to do is we're going to do a bacon wrapped and stuffed shrimp and also a squash Rockefeller. So the bacon shrimp, what I do is I've got real large shrimp. These are about an 8 per pound, 6 to 8 per pound. We've peeled them and deveined them and left a big, nice, wide swath there. Then what I do is I take a mixture of horseradish, butter, breadcrumbs, and Parmesan cheese, and I mold it to fit into that cavity. And we stuff the cavities like that. Is after we've got them stuffed, and we're going to season the outside of that shrimp, and then we're going to wrap them up in bacon, and we're going to throw them on the smoker. These are nice big shrimp. It really helps to do extra large shrimp with this recipe because shrimp cook awfully fast, so we're going to slow smoke them on the smoker, and then we're going to finish them on the grill. The other recipe we're going to do, our vegetable dish, is going to be what we call a smoked squash Rockefeller. We've got regular, normal size yellow squash. All we're going to do is we're going to rub them with a little bit of vegetable oil and put them on the smoker for about 45 minutes to an hour. We want to cook them about 3/4 of the way through. No seasoning or anything at this time. So we're going to go over to the cooker and put all these on a real cool spot, about a 200 degree part of the cooker. We're going to want to put these on a fairly cool part of the cooker. The way the cooker works, we've talked about before, we've got the offset firebox. Well, one of the things that wants to happen is when the heat comes out of the firebox, it's going to rise. So our hotter spots in the cooker are near the fire and up high. This is going to be the hottest part of the cooker, This and this are pretty much tied for the second hottest, but the coolest spot of the cooker is definitely down here. This is going to be right around 200 degrees. So we're just going to stack our squash in there. And we'll put our jumbo stuffed shrimp in there. We'll give our briskets and pork butt one more spritz. Like I said, anytime we open the cooker, we go ahead and spray with apple juice.
I'm almost 100% sure that the longer cooking time, the slower cooking time, will make for an even better product. But if you don't have 20 hours and you want to do some testing, you can do it just as easily in 8 to 10 hours. And I've cooked against some world-class, world champion barbecue cooks who don't cook anything over 10 hours, and they can beat me on any given day. So just because I cook it for 20 hours doesn't mean that's the only way to do it.
Okay, the squash have been on the cooker about 45 minutes. We've turned them a couple of times. We don't really want to overcook them, so we're going to go ahead and pull those off. Meanwhile, we'll give the shrimp a turn, and we'll pull those off in about 20 minutes and get ready to go to the grill with them. Okay, we'll go ahead and stuff the squash now. And you want to leave just enough of the squash on the side so that the little boats, we call them, the little boats don't fall apart. We don't put any of the squash back in there. The stuffing is the best part of this dish. Our Rockefeller mixture is a little bit untraditional, but it's got spinach. What we do is we saute green onions and garlic and celery in butter until they're nice and soft. And then we add Parmesan cheese, breadcrumbs, and the spinach. And I put just a little bit of sour cream, and then we add some shredded Monterey Jack and cheddar cheese to it, which gives them a really nice flavor. The squash, either zucchini or yellow squash, tend to be very porous, and they accept the smoke flavor really well. They make a really nice balance. And they don't taste overly smoky, but you do taste what little bit of smoke we put on them in that hour. And then we're going to finish these on a charcoal grill at a hotter temperature, and we don't really want any more smoke in there. And that's also how we're going to finish our shrimp, which are still smoking on the grill. And we'll put both those on the kettle grill over an indirect fire. Cook those for about 20 minutes on the squash and about 10 minutes for the shrimp, maybe only 5 minutes for the shrimp. Want to get the coals stacked up so we make a little extra room for our indirect cooking. When you do an indirect fire, you want to make sure if you've got one of the grates like this that has the hinge, we want to do that. That way, if we were cooking for a longer period of time, not all of the kettle grills like this do this. This one particularly does. You can lift this hinge, drop charcoal in it, close the hinge back up, and keep your food cooking right there. The gloves are a good insulator. Even these little thin plastic gloves keep your hands from burning up too much. We're going to leave some room on there for the shrimp, which we're going to put on in about 10-15